Alright, so hopefully I don't get interrupted. I just did this last minute, so I could. But let's get right on with it. Comic reviews. Decided to do these because it's a smaller batch. So I'll still do a part 1 and part 2 because of the way. It's basically just because I had a lot solicited. Just want to cut it down. And that's kind of how I can cut it down. Is kind of doing it in little itty bitty parts to start with, and then doing the full big part where it's the big stack, So it's little stacks and big stack. Middle West. Just Kindle. That was a text notification, just a Kindle notification. Middle West. This is one that I started out, so this is still a reread. Still very enjoyable. Still very, just as good as everyone is saying it is. I do definitely recommend this one if you like fantasy, but you want a little bit different. It's kind of like a fantasy family drama kind of thing, without giving too much away. But it really hits home, like everything that goes for it hits. It's kind of hard to explain it because I can't put two words together right now. I don't know why. But basically, like I said, it's just as good as everyone is saying it is. And also, I think it'll be easier to review once I finish the series because this is 3 volumes. And I'm probably going to end up reviewing it volume by volume? No, hopefully. At the end, I will. I guess we just be two reviews for Middle West. One with the first volume and the second with the next 2 volumes. One thing I will point out, though, that I thought where this volume ends was where volume 2 ends. So there must be an even bigger cliffhanger at the end of volume 2. But you know where volume 1 ends. I thought that was where volume 2 ends. Because I remember it ending on a huge cliffhanger. I never got to finish the series. I'm just finishing it now. Volume 3 I have not read yet. And the first 2 library I had didn't have volume 3. So I remember it ending on a cliffhanger as an added insult, or insult to injury. Why I haven't, because that was a long time ago, why I haven't picked this one up yet and finished it when I have had all 3 volumes for a long ass time now, I don't know. Yeah, part of it was because I was waiting to get all the Scotty Young books, but after a while you think I would just say screw it, and I did, but sooner. Sleepless, it's pretty good, just some very awkward pacing here that really hurts this comic. When this comic, I think when it's just like it gets into heavy dialogue, it's just kind of boring. I know that comics they don't have to be all action all the time, and this definitely is not that, but it's like this kind of like exposition-y dialogue that I don't think really works for this comic. It's kind of like that, but like when they're just kind of just talking, droning on. I feel like if you cut that, like if you wrote it in text form, it would be like a paragraph. You cut it by a couple sentences here and there, I think the pacing would be much better. But when the pacing is good, it's really good. This is definitely one that you can first of all judge by the cover, and I think you'll like it enough. Nomen Omen is strange, and like with Sleepless, has some pacing issues, but when it hits, it really hits. But this more so than Sleepless. Like this, I enjoyed more overall than Sleepless. I'll go back around to my out of 10 reviews if I don't get interrupted through a text that is kind of late. And I'll do that out of 10 reviews, but so far, we're just going with this. But yeah, and it is one of those books that is definitely, like I said before, is strange, and I don't think I know exactly what's going on, and it kind of like borderline, I am kind of bothered by that. Now, Grant Morrison can write something that is very insane and crazy and weird, and you're just along for the ride. But sometimes there can be that same exact thing, but I don't like it. It's hard to explain if you're not into comics, but that's how they are sometimes. You can still have the same problems with one comic that you praise for other comics. And for me, it's just that, honestly. The Butcher's Boy so far is my pick of the week. This is so damn good that this could be all the characters getting. I did review this on Instagram. This one right here, like it was its own comic review, and in that I said that this comic could just be it could just be consist entirely of the characters talking through their problems. There's huge conflict in this book between the characters before this whole thing comes to pass. And that in itself is super investing. And if it was just that, if it was more Giant Days than I knew what to call it after. I knew what to what comic to connect it to after, but I can't think of it. But if it was more Giant Days and Supernatural, this was just Giant Days, but read by Landry Q. Walker, I would not mind that whatsoever. But when it gets into The Butcher's Boy, it is pretty interesting, and it is one of those books I will definitely read again because I'm sure there are certain details that I missed. Because there's a twist here, obviously. I shouldn't say obviously, but it is one of those books you think there'll be a twist. It is that kind of twist. Planet of the Apes, I still enjoy it, but so far I'm already liking the sequel more than the first one. This one just kind of has, it's good, kind of a little bit basic. The more I read, the more I realize that if this were made into a movie, it would not be fully well reviewed all that much. I like it because it was one of the first Planet of the Apes comics that I read, so it is does have that. But out of all the ones I've read the Gabriel Hardman run. That's really good. That omnibus is super good. And then I'm currently rereading the Mark Guggenheim run, and so far it's a 4-issue run. And so far this David Walker. So far this David F. Walker series is the least good that I've read, but still enjoyable. I still give it a 7 out of 10. I still think that if you want the Planet of the Apes, because all the others I've read, it takes place in the original 5-movie franchise, but that's the prequels. So if you want the Caesar stuff, the stuff that's the Andy Serkis trilogy, look no further than that David F. Walker Planet of the Apes. And it does tell the story it does tell a story rather well. I think it's just way too much narration, and the more and more I think about it, I'm like, was there a whole lot of action? Yes, there is action in there. There's action per issue, enough per issue to satisfy people, but I feel like there could have been more. I feel like there was more narration than anything, and it got to that point where it was kind of annoying. Like, I've never been too terribly annoyed at narration, but here I was kind of like, yeah, well, not that I started understanding it, because reading comics for as long as I have, I've always had problems with narrations in certain books. I have actually gone on record to say that there's comics that I almost hated because of the excessive narration. Here it was not as bad, but I have noticed it before. I was gonna say like, oh, how I just noticed it now. I didn't mean to say it like that. No, that's what I was trying to say. What if Venom? We need more of this. This is like all I ask for these miniseries comics. You don't have to. First of all, there's a couple of. There's the Midnight Mission, which is the Moon Knight thing, but that is in the most recent Moon Knight run. Well, as of this, it was the Jed MacKay run. So it does take place in modern day, but because it's a what if book, you don't really need to be have read modern Marvel to enjoy this one. You just need to know some of the characters. You need to know, well, actually, which ones are there. It's Loki. Let's go in order. She-Hulk, Wolverine, Doctor Strange, Loki, and Moon Knight. You need to know the comics side of these characters. Not too much, like the basic amount, like their past, like where they were at that point in time, maybe. But even then, no. But you need to I think this can't be your first Marvel book. I feel like if it is your first Marvel book, you won't enjoy it as much as someone like me who off and on has been reading Marvel throughout the years. Like I haven't gone in order from the Silver Age to now, but I've read enough Marvel to say that I'm a Marvel Comics fan, everything like that. So I get enjoyment out of this, but you don't have to have read everything. You don't have to have read the most recent Marvel runs of these characters, and that is what I like about these books. When I was collecting floppies back in the day, that's what I wanted, and this delivers. And it's also really damn good too. A really damn good, solid story that has almost perfect pacing. Honestly, no, perfect pacing. Like, this is, if you just want a palate cleanse, you want something fun to read that you will want to read again, it has staying power. Look no further than this book. And how much is this book? $17.99. I would say it's worth cover price. Voice of a bit of a crack there. X-23 Deadly Regenesis. is just as good, if not better, than it was the first time. A lot of these books I've read before, it's kind of quick. But I also like these flashback books. So it's kind of the antithesis. It's kind of a great connection to this book. I also liked it when they would do flashback comics, especially when they did the Symbiote Spider-Man. That complemented that era of Spider-Man comics, and this also complements this era of X-23. I really enjoyed this era of X-23. It was really dark and depressing, like really depressing at times, like really, really dark. But it was that kind of dark that was like, comics can be mature without saying the F word and showing like excessive violence and nudity and sex. They can have like really grounded stories, really dark stories that stick with you. Like there are moments even in this book that will stick with me forever. And that's a 5-issue miniseries from Modern Marvel. That should tell you everything. I don't think I need to go on. Definitely pick this one up. And finally, the Batgirl run that I hated, book 2. Book 1, I went on record to say, hey, I think I thought it was worse than it was, but it didn't. I do like it more now than I did before, but I think it's because of, I don't even want to say I overstated, I kept saying, oh, it's bad, oh, it's bad, oh, it's bad, so I got it into my head. No, I think it's just because of the fact that I have read worse comics since, because I read this one, I want to say all the way through, once. The second time, I gave up halfway through this volume. But since then, I have read worse. I have read Squirrel Girl. I have read Unstoppable Wasp. So I've read some awful comics that take what this comic does and make it even worse. This has some redeeming qualities. Those books did not. But biggest complaint here is that this is not Batgirl. This is the DC superhero girls for slightly older audiences. This is the Gail Simone run was teen to teen plus. This is tween. This is the kind of the young adult graphic novels where they would kind of cut back on her backstory a little bit and maybe not make it like she's in the wheelchair for a few months and then she gets the cure, whereas in the comics run she was in the wheelchair for a long time. And I'm sure there were some comics there. The longest time she was fighting Oracle. I'm sure there are some comic issues where she was absolutely miserable being in a wheelchair and wished she could be Batgirl, and it was really dark, and she had PTSD from the Joker and stuff like that. I'm sure the comics have dealt with that. I've not read a whole lot of Batgirl comics. I've read the Gail Simone run all the way through, some issues here and there, from before New 52, to know enough of why people like Oracle, her as Oracle, and the incredible 9-issue miniseries that Chuck Dixon did, year 1. That was awesome. But this one is just really watered down. That is the perfect way to describe this comic. It is the watered down. It's watered down Batgirl. It is watered down Batgirl. I really wish I had said that without stuttering so much, but that's what this comic is. Watered down Batgirl. And I'm saying watered down Batgirl in general because this is continuity. This isn't Elseworlds or this or that. No, it just comes out in continuity. This is right after New 52. So that's an added insult. Alright, I'm going to go over these again and do out of 10 reviews, and then we will conclude it. But the Batgirl run, it's not bad. I would say if you want to read the book, you just want to read it in chronological order from New 52, this isn't an awful run to read. I'm sure there are worse runs. I'm sure when we get the Cecil Castle Machine against the run everyone hates, I'm sure when we get to that run, if the library even has it, I will completely apologize for everything bad I've said about the Brendan Fletcher run. Alright. 9 out of 10. 7 out of 10. 7.5 out of 10. Remember, those are volume 1s of each of their respective series, so it could change. It could go up. I feel like Middle West will go up. Because Middle West, I hear, has one of those just brighten the heartstrings endings. I'm sure it will. I'm sure they're not exaggerating one bit. 9 out of 10. 9.5 actually. 6.5. Nah, 7 out of 10. 8 out of 10. 8.5 out of 10. And 6 out of 10. I have like 3 comics left. I'm getting a new batch this week. That's why I wanted to return this at least. It's not a whole lot, but it's enough. Then the ones I'm getting next week, that video I think I'll upload it the following week. So no, sorry, not following week. This coming week will be this video this Wednesday, and next Wednesday will be the comics that I'm reading that I have left over because I still have Thunderbolts and that's about it actually. Oh no, and Planet of the Apes story. I have Thunderbolts and Planet of the Apes left, and then of course the next volumes of these series, and then whenever I pick up from the library this coming week. I say whatever as if I don't already know what I'm picking up, as if I didn't put them in already, the requests. I tried my best to do like the last volume in the series, or it's the mini series, like What If Venom. No, it's just one volume. I tried to do that so I didn't have to. So it wasn't just basically redundant. Like it's a 3-volume series, and you put in volume 2. Why don't you do volume 3? And we'll do volume 3 next time. So it's just if you want to go from 33 to 18. That's not gonna help anything. So I tried to make it so it did help everything. So it can go from 33 to 18. I think it's at 18 right now. That's including the OGNs, I believe. Alright, that's it. No, it's not. I take it back.